Yes, hello and welcome. It's your program, Democracy Today. Happy 58th Independence Day, Nigeria. I am Ijoma Osamor, your regular host on the program. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari, in his Independence Day broadcast, congratulated Nigerians and said he has committed himself many times to ensure that elections are fully participatory, free and fair.
I have committed myself many times to ensure that elections are fully participatory, free and fair, and that the independent National Electoral Commission will be exactly independent and properly staffed and resourced. The ballot box is how we make our choice for the government's rule in our name. Fellow Nigerians, developing a thriving democracy is not an easy task. There can be no quick fixes or shortcuts. These are the most important lessons that we have learned in our 58 years as an independent nation.
It's about 138 days to February 16, 2019, the day set aside for the presidential election, and that is the election that will kickstart the voting process in the 2019 general election. And our focus tonight shall be on the, as we take a look on what the president said about election, as we take a look at Nigeria 58 and the future of democracy. We shall also take a look at the ongoing party primaries across states and political divide. But let's see how the day was marked across the states.
To have equality and good leadership, and we need to be united, and we need to have security. Security is paramount, and welfare of our people. People are really suffering. We need good policies that will bring Nigeria out of this present predicament.
The beacon of democracy, progress, and a bright future for all citizens that our country once was has become nothing but a gloomy night as injustice, oppression, repression, violence, ethnic, religious, and political bigotry, corruption, plundering of our resources, and election stealing seem to be rule rather than the exception.
Those things that we were thinking are only happening in places like Afghanistan, Syria, Yemen, Rohingya are happening right here in our own country, in a country that I call my own. It's not acceptable anymore. Something must happen.
You've seen across the states, some of the states that we were able to bring together, Plateau, Rivers, and some states from the south, west, and from the north, how people are celebrating. I'm calling it Democracy Day because it's an Independence Day. It was funny when somebody sent me Happy Democracy Day on the 58th Independence Day celebration of Nigeria. And I told the person, is it Democracy Day or Independence Day? It says they are the same. Well, to our focus tonight, I have joining me in the studio a University Don from Bayero University in Kano. I have Professor Tosan Harriman. You're welcome to Democracy Today's studio. We shall be looking at the Independence Day. Now, looking at what the President said about making sure that our elections are free, fair, and credible. We have about 138 days to the general elections. Do you think Nigeria is prepared for that election with the things that we are seeing?
Well, thank you very much for having me. The first thing I want to address is the fact that it doesn't seem like we are ready yet because of the convergence of issues that have made the prospect of a free and fair election unrealistic. Now, let me just point you to this very fact, that in this country, Nigeria, there has been a little too much pragmatism, a little too much hypocrisy, a little too much covering up of ineptitude and outmoded institutions, we have not been able to directly come to addressing the profound issues that is affecting us.
So which are the profound issues?
Yes, the profound issues has to do first and foremost with developing our institutions. The institutions have not been properly developed. They've not been properly addressed. And once the vital substructure of your organization is affected, it has a way of also influencing the direction of the superstructure. And that is a peculiar circumstances that we are facing as a nation. Once the substructure is hit, the way ours is, then of course you expect a disjointed congruence that affects the reality of, that affects the expectations that every one of us have. Now, you have seen all over the nation the issues relating to whether there would be a free and fair elections. When you don't have ideas driving politics, why would you be talking about free and fair elections?
So what's supposed to drive these ideas?
What's supposed to drive the ideas are the originating domestic conditions of our nation. For example, just look at a country like Nigeria. For the 58 years of our experience as a nation, we have not had any other thing that is augmenting or yet receipt than repatriations from Nigerians in the diaspora. It's a very serious issue that our economy has not been diversified. Very recently, of course, we are seeing some noticeable approaches to addressing some of the conditions, but they are not sustainable approaches. They are still at the level of patchworks that have not profoundly affected on the base that would guarantee viable institutions that would also guarantee credible and free and fair elections.
Did you listen to the president this morning?
I listened to him.
And you heard a lot that he says his administration has achieved in the fight against corruption, in the arrest of killings in the north, Boko Haram, headers and all that, and also in the improvement of the economy. So I want to understand, just like every other person wants to understand.
Yes.
I know you are used to the classroom as a professor, but I want to understand what you mean that we are not getting things right, especially when it comes to the institutions in Nigeria. That's why you feel that we will not get a free, fair, credible poll in 2019.
Yeah, I am not trying to establish or manage an audacity of making a forecast on the direction of historical discourse. That's not what I am trying to establish here. But I am saying specifically that once we don't get it right at the economy, it automatically affects the entire orientation of how this country runs. Take, for example, resource allocation in the free liberalized currency market only favors the mercantile. That is importation of goods from all over the world. That is the only dimension it favors. And then the same resource allocation, the same liberalized resource allocation in the currency market does not take into consideration the time that it takes for return on investment. So what do we have? We have a crisis in our hands where the different traders that are bidding within that subsector are overbidding the process, thereby killing import substitution. And then you have a situation where people, even like our president, still take from the oil receipt to embark upon medical tourism. And then you also have a condition where parents who can afford to take their children abroad, all of them also depend on the same oil receipt. How does a nation thrive in that kind of condition? It is this element that I want us to specifically look into. Once we can address the different imbalances, once we can address it as a nation, where we are today was where China was about 40 years ago. Yeah. Where we are today. But how did it come out of that? It was able to sit down and then re-incentivize its own cultural processes through a cultural reformation that saw ingenuity as primary and paramount to the development of the socio-economic and political growth of that country. And today they have achieved. We go cap in hand begging China to come and help us. What are our engineers doing? Our engineers cannot tar roads and all of that. So it becomes the basic contradictions, they are unbelievable. And to think that a child is still an adult man at 58 years, is still in this staccato, stunted, irresponsible, will-o'-the-wisp.
We may not like to use such language. I mean, Nigeria is a precious country.
Yes, it is.
And we celebrate our country.
It is, but we are looking at it from the perspective of the fact that we are talking about a 58 years old individual.
Now, some persons are saying that the 2019 election may just change the course. And if you have a nation where we are experiencing problems that you've just mentioned now, how do we get a credible process in 2019?
Yes, a credible process, like I want to also repeat, is a situation of cognitive rearrangement of the existing processes. And that has to do not with borrowing democracy from America. There is Nigeria, and there are specific domestic indices within Nigeria that we must begin to address. We don't just come and carry America experience and then lopside it on us when the practitioners themselves are not versed in the conditions and processes to stable or wager that specific process.
From your tone, it's like you're not too comfortable with the presidential style of government.
The process, we have not mastered it. That is why, rather than ideas driving the process, it is our stomach that is driving it. And in a condition where stomach drives a political process, it will be madness. I'm sorry to use the word, you have cautioned me about that. It would be completely unrealistic for somebody to be talking about free and fair process. It can't work that way. It really can't work that way.
So what do we do?
What we have to do, like I am still insisting, is this. Well, the president just started 3 years ago, and it's quite a short time to begin to also think of how we can begin to. He also inherited part of the things he's presently also trying to, is handicapped about fixing. Those things are inherited. So how do we go about it? There has to be a reorientation of our values. We have to revisit our domestic relations. Those domestic relations has to now begin to become the basis where we begin to factor processes to drive in these domestic relations based on the existential episteme that reflects in our cultural condition. You don't just go and bring, I don't believe in the American democracy. I don't believe in it.
So we should rather practice
the cultural worldview of America is completely different from the cultural worldview of Nigeria. We are two different people. For example, myself, I can't stay in America more than 1 week because my entire characteristic does not fit into that atmosphere because I'm a Nigerian. To now come and now bring that process, to now begin to drive our condition in this country, it's going to be, Buhari has not been able to succeed in his war against corruption because of the endemic nature of the contradiction of the Nigerian political system. If he's fair enough, he too would know that at some point in his attempt to address this anti-corruption war, he has also become a victim of it. How has he become a victim of it? It is a process. Something is wrong with the process until you begin to redefine that process. Describe it in terms of its orientation as it relates to your domestic conditions. I mean, we'll be talking stories. And we've been talking the stories since 58 years.
Professor,
we're likely going to talk the story until Jesus comes.
Professor Tosan, some persons will just listen to you and say, yes, this is a style of a professor talking because you are an academia. Now, let's look at reality. We are already practicing the presidential style of governance. And we are going for another election in February 2019 with just about 138 days. Let's be realistic now. What is the solution? We are in a style of government. What's the solution before 2019?
Bringing down the present system and then reevaluating our approaches.
You're talking about restructuring.
Bringing down the present system.
Do you believe in restructuring?
The concept of restructuring is still very vague because you have to tell me why you're restructuring to. Restructuring to the criminal elements that we have in the subnational to direct the course of affairs in Nigeria. Is that what you are restructuring?
I don't know anybody who is a criminal. This program don't take some language that
yes, I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
we really cautioned for that.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, let's take some of the stories for party primaries across the states. Yesterday, the ruling party, the All Progressives Congress, held its governorship primaries across some states. Then the opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, also had its governorship primaries. We also have some results for the governorship primaries of SDP. We've not heard from the Young Progressives Congress, but I know that the presidential primaries of the YPP-YDP held sometime last week and this weekend. Let's see what we have.
Both APC and PDP have continued to hold their party primaries to choose governorship candidates for the 2019 general elections. In Kwara State, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, held its governorship primary today after it was disrupted yesterday.
But we saw it clearly that there was nothing like an anointed candidate in the process. If there was an anointed, everybody, most of the aspirants would have stepped down. But we see that there was no such message.
For the people of Kaduna, we hope and are praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we will live a much more united state than how we met it.
What we want to do at this point in time is to go to Abuja now to confirm the veracity of this statement, and then to know what are the guidelines. Does it involve National Assembly election? Let us be clear about it. If it is direct, is it another committee that will come and then conduct this exercise, or is it the same committee?
In Imo State, Governor Rochas Okorocha and other party faithfuls of the All Progressive Congress are calling for peaceful conduct of the governorship primaries in the state.
And APC is a family, and we are one big family. You must make sure that you protect your votes and protect the result.
Former EFCC boss Malam Nuhu Ribadu has rejoined the race for the governorship ticket of the APC in Adamawa State after initially pulling out of the race last night.
The graphic representation of some of the results that we got today. We are still expecting some states, and when we see that, when we come back, we'll be going to Delta to talk to one of the aggrieved, can I say aspirant, or somebody who was at the Delta State governorship primaries of the All Progressives Congress. Stay with us. You're seeing some of the results, and I would like to also let you know that Bolaji Ayorinde emerged as the governorship candidate from Oyo State, the Social Democratic Party. That one we got today. We have some results, and as they come, we'll be updating you. But let's go to Delta, where we have Osiobe Okotie standing by. Hello, Mr. Okotie, are you there?
Yeah.
All right, what happened yesterday? We saw you screaming in one of the videos.
Yes, I'm here.
What happened? You didn't like what played out in Delta State?
What happened yesterday is very unfortunate.
Okay.
Well, I bought some, and I was duly screened in Abuja, cleared and congratulated. When I go back to Delta, a few days later I saw my name in the nation's paper that I was not cleared. And no reason was given. So it appears some persons from my state see me as a threat.
But you're not the only one that's come. Mr. Okotie, you're not the only one that wasn't cleared, so why would they see you as a threat? Why do you think you are a threat to them?
Why was my name unlawfully excluded from? Why am I a threat to them? Because I have been the one that has been promoting the party in Delta State. I was the first person to declare my intention, and I promoted the party to a large extent in our state. Some of them who came only yesterday, who feel they are all politicians, and they are good in the game,
declare,
without any reason.
Mr. Okoti, if you were not cleared, are they going to return your 22 point whatever million to you?
I don't understand. I don't know. If you are not going to clear somebody, you must give a reason. In my case, no reason was given. Some people that were not cleared, they stated the reason. Maybe NYC certificate. You know, I have everything. I have my school living certificate. I have my WAEC result. I have my degree from the university. I have my NYC certificate. And I paid the 22.5 million. And I was screaming.
So do you want them to return your money to you? That's the question now. Are you saying, or you want to quit the party?
I'm not going to quit the party.
What is the next step?
The next step, I'm going to seek redress.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to quit the party. But I'm going to fight for my rights.
But are you congratulating the man who emerged, the winner, Ogboru?
The primaries that was conducted, in fact, that was a sham. There was no primaries. No, I cannot congratulate. No way.
All right.
That primary, there was no primary.
Thank you very much, Chief Osebe Okotie. He is so aggrieved and is screaming very loud. Chief Osebe Okotie is from Delta, and we just got a call from Delta. Now, let's look at this whole issue now, yes. This thing that just played out. There are some persons that are not happy, and you think the problem that we have in the country, this is one of it?
Specifically, it's about one of it. Because if I want to mirror down on the APC scenario, for example, from the first day they started the World Congresses, it was obvious that the then chairman of the APC was desirous for a sort of rearrangement of the political process as it affects the APC party. Because if that wasn't the case, I wonder how he was able to allow two parallel congresses to continue to the point of their transition to the present chairman of the APC. The point is, if there were world congresses that appear to have been contested on the basis of direct primary approach, why would you allow parallel congresses to hold in Delta State, for example? Why would you allow such a thing to happen? So if by yesterday they are affirming that the process that was properly conducted in Asaba was still vested with irregularities and all of that, it tells you how this do-or-die element in the Nigerian scenario has eaten deep into our political culture.
Okay. All right. Now, let's go to Lagos. We have some tracks from Lagos. Yesterday, Ambode came out spitting fire. And today, the party chairman came out shouting. Let me not use the word shouting. Apologies there. The party chairman says Ambode didn't collect his card. Let's see what happened.
This particular aspirant, as you all know, you can go and check, the records are there. This is somebody that has been arrested for spending fake American dollars in a nightclub in America. And he's been detained for months. And he knows that he has won mug shots for months before this whole thing was quenched. He is also known that he doesn't have the competence to do what he is being propelled to do. The records are there in Guadalajara General Hospital. This is somebody that has gone for rehabilitation before. We don't want to go too far, but we know.
It is unfortunate that in the last 24 hours, I have been on the trail of the governor, Governor Akinwumi Ambode, as the party chairman with his ID card with me. But unfortunately, all my calls have had no response. This is unfortunate. I have his card here. And a few hours ago, I sent a text message telling him about this after I made several calls.
All right, that's the party chairman from Lagos State there, explaining to Nigerians that he actually went to Abodi to give him his card. Yesterday, somebody complained that he had a slip instead of the party card. Well, we do not have so much time. Professor Tosan Harriman is from Center for Social Research in Nigeria. I would like to say thank you, but we do wish that Nigeria will grow.
Yes, it will grow, but we have to get the right things done.
All right.
Yes.
This is where we say thank you for being a part of the program. Join us tomorrow by 7:30 p.m. We'll still be looking at some aspect of the party primaries, or we'll just dwell on the progress of Nigeria after 58 years. I am Ijoma Osamor. Just follow me on my Twitter handle at EJ Osamor. Good night.